Everybody, welcome back to That's WAC, where we talk about the Washington Administrative Code for Early Childhood Providers. Today, we are going to be going over WAC 110-300-0340. And this WAC talks about expulsion. So if you've ever had a child that's been expelled from a daycare, this is for you to know if you should have been expelled, one, and two, if you're in the process of maybe getting expelled, this is important to look at too, because the reason they put this in the WAC was because a lot of providers would just kick families out, children that were considered hard to handle. So for instance, maybe autistic children that when they're upset, they might lash out, or don't have children without verbal skills that might bite. These are the things that providers would just, oh, they're gone. We're not even gonna deal with it. It's happened twice. We're all done. You can't come back. And which is really unfortunate because a lot of children, you know, they need the care so their parents can work and provide for them and take care of them, and it's very stressful on them. So this WAC was made to kind of help parents and families come up with a plan instead of just straight out kicking them to the curb. Also, they were did a lot of studies that showed that little black boys were expelled more than any other type of children. So they wanted to get rid of that racial bias. So let's read the WAC. It says, to promote consistent care and maximize opportunities for child development and learning, an learning provider must develop and follow expulsion policies and practices. An early learning provider may expel a child only if the child exhibits behavior that presents a serious safety concern for that child or others. The program is not able to reduce or eliminate the safety concern through reasonable modifications. Did you hear that? So your child there's a child that presents a serious safety concern to either themselves or to others, whether that be biting other children, tackling other children, banging their head on the floor so that they're getting, bruises and cuts and all that thing. They can't just have it. They have to try to reduce it with reasonable modifications. Okay. And they leave that open to interpretation, but they have to at least try. And on average, it takes at least 3 weeks for a new thing that you implement to work on a child. So if they're pulling you aside and letting you know about this and wanting to provide a modification, accommodation, it should be at least 3 weeks. They shouldn't be kicking you out the next day, just so you know. Moving on. If a child is expelled, an early learning provider must review the program's expulsion policy with the parent or guardian of the child. Your program, when you enroll your child, should have an expulsion policy. Okay. And then provide a record to the parent or guardian about the expulsion and the steps that were taken to avoid the expulsion. The record must include the date, time, early learning program staff involved, and details of each incident that led to the expulsion. So these are things that early learning centers need to do to protect themselves is they need to have, a policy, one, provide modifications, write down what those modifications are. So they're going to list the behavior, the modifications, the staff that they trained on it, when they performed those things, like how did it turn out? That it's a whole thing. Like you can't just kick someone out. Like it's a whole thing, and it takes a month or two. And this goes back also to the teachers, because I've worked with a lot of teachers that are like, why don't we just kick this kid out? This kid is just too much for me. I can't handle it. Why don't we just kick this kid out? This is why we don't just kick the kids out, okay, teachers, for those of you working with children that, might be pushing your buttons. This is why, because we need to give the child the best chance to be able to adapt to their environment and be learning. Now, that being said, we document all this because maybe this isn't the best environment for them. But you have to at least try, right? They might better benefit from a small in family home childcare, or classrooms that have lower ratios, or like a one-on-one, like a nanny or something like that. But you have to at least try. That's the point. Um, Providers also have to provide information to a parent or guardian of the child that includes, but not limited to, community-based resources that may benefit the child. So not only do you have to implement all that, have documentation, all that, but you also have to send them resources that might benefit the child. So whether that be resources to get a one-on-one for a child, to get access to different services through Child Find or whatever it might be, you need to give that. The early learning provider must report to the department when children are expelled. So if a child is expelled from your center should be telling DCYF, which is the Department of Children, Youth, and Families here in Washington, that they expelled a child, and they have to tell them the child's demographic data, including the age, race, ethnicity, and gender of the child, why the child was expelled, and what resources were provided to that family. So yeah, there's a lot of steps in getting a child kicked out of your program due to whatever it might be. Unfortunately, I know a lot of programs don't follow this, but if you're a parent and you're being kicked out, read the WAC and tell them, hey, no, you can't do this, you have to do this and this instead, and you have to give us time, and you have to notify. So, it's always good as a parent to know what the WAC is too. So I hope that was helpful and you enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.